When we think of the American Revolution, we usually picture fiery speeches, protests in the streets, and dramatic battles for independence. But for John Adams, the heart of that revolution wasn't just rebellion, it was the rule of law. Adams believed that liberty could only survive in a society where laws were fair, consistent, and applied equally to everyone, regardless of power or popularity. As a lawyer, he saw the law not just as a way to keep order, but as a moral framework, something that should reflect reason, truth, and justice. He lived that belief. In 1770, after the Boston Massacre, tensions in Boston were high. British soldiers had fired into a crowd, killing 5 colonists. The people were furious, and there was a public outcry for revenge. And yet, John Adams, a patriot who opposed British policies, did something few others would dare. He defended those soldiers in court. Why? Because he believed justice must never be driven by anger. Everyone, even those we dislike, deserves a fair trial. Facts are stubborn things, he told the jury. Emotions may rise and fall, but justice must stand on truth. Most of the soldiers were acquitted, and Adams' reputation took a hit. But that case revealed something core to his character. He valued principle over popularity. As tensions with Britain grew, Adams became one of the strongest voices for independence. But even then, he wasn't only thinking about breaking away from the crown, he was thinking about what would come next. What kind of government could truly protect liberty? He turned to Enlightenment thinkers like John Locke and Montesquieu, who argued that power should be limited and divided, and that government's job was to protect natural rights, life, liberty, and property. Adams took those ideas seriously. In 1780, he helped write the Massachusetts Constitution, one of the oldest functioning constitutions in the world. It laid out a system of checks and balances, and influenced the U.S. Constitution that would follow. Adams believed that no one, not a king, not a president, not even the people themselves, should be above the law. And he knew that human nature was flawed. Power, left unchecked, would always lean toward corruption. The best protection against tyranny, he believed, wasn't violence or charisma. It was a strong, balanced legal system that could restrain power and protect individual rights. Even later in life, Adams warned that freedom could only survive if people stayed committed to justice, morality, and reason. He said, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other." In other words, laws alone weren't enough. They needed a society willing to uphold them. John Adams gave up comfort, security, and even his popularity at times to stand up for these principles. He spent years away from home serving his country in Europe, and eventually as president. And while he wasn't always the most loved or the most celebrated, he left us with something that mattered far more. A vision of a nation where freedom is protected, not just by brave words, but by just laws. So when we talk about liberty, let's remember John Adams, not just as a founder, but as a defender of the rule of law. He knew revolutions may begin with passion, but they endure through principles. And his principle was clear: without justice, there is no freedom.